everybody, welcome to Drive Thru Review 171. Today I'm going to talk about Il Vecchio. It's a new Euro game. I think it was released in Essen 2012. I'm not positive on that. It's now just coming over to America at the time of this video, early 2013. Brought over by Tasty Minstrel Games, and I think in Europe you can find it through Pegasus Spiel. It's a Rudiger Dorn game. He's sort of a famous Euro designer. He did Goa and Princess of Florence, I think. But this is an excellent game. There we go. Spoiled the whole review. But I've really been enjoying this game and played it a couple times over the last few days. And so let me just jump into how it works, and then I can kind of explain to you why I like it so much. Okay, I've got the board set up here before play. Just a couple of features to point out. You can see there are little towns here at various intersections along the board. There's certain regions here that have a number. Basically you have 2 through 6 and then 8 through 12. There's no number 7 on the board. You got 2 stacks of bonus tiles here, and then at the top of the board you've got a stack of bonus tiles there, and then down here you've got another stack of bonus tiles here. So to start the game, the players are going to get 1 bishop token and 1 carriage token there. You're going to get a little bit of money based on the start position, and then players will get a massive amount of little workers here in their player color. And the first thing you're going to do is go ahead and roll these dice here, and then you're going to start placing workers out on the board. So you can see I rolled a 5 there. So what you're going to do to set up the game is you can see here's the 5, and I've rolled a 5. And you're going to have to place 2 of your workers in towns adjacent to that region. So I could put a guy here and a guy there, like so. And then the next player would roll, and let's say they rolled a 6. So the yellow player could place maybe a guy here, and then they want to place a guy there. There's no limit to the amount of workers you can have in a space. It doesn't really matter. There's no blocking in that sense. So you're going to go and do that twice. So basically each player is going to have 4 workers out on the board. And just for argument's sake, let's say the red player, he rolled a 12. So he'd go here and then over here, like so. And you're going to make sure they're standing up. Oh, and I almost forgot. One other thing you're going to do is each player's going to take 3 of these city council tiles here in the middle. You're going to flip these over, take a look at them. These are going to give you little bonuses during the game, which I'll go over a little bit later. You're going to choose one of these, keep this face up in front of you, and what these are basically going to do is enhance basically the regular actions that you would take in the game. So maybe you will take an action to grab one of the follower tiles, which I'll explain in a minute. Every time you do that, you get an extra $2. So you take one of these, shuffle the rest back in. Everybody's going to start with a little bit of a bonus, and then you're ready to start the game. The game comes with a player aid for each of the 4 players. You've got basically 5 actions that you can do. They also give you the ways that you can score points at the end of the game, which I'll go over a little bit later. Let me just quickly walk through all of these actions, and then we'll talk a little bit more about the strategy and what you're trying to accomplish here. Now, most of the time you're going to be doing one of these 3 actions here on the top, and then sometimes you'll be doing these as well. But before you do one of these 3, you have the option to travel with one of your workers. So if I were the red player and I wanted to move this guy to this town here where there is a middleman, and I'll explain what the middleman is in just a second. If I wanted to do that, I basically got to pay 1 gold or 1 coin. So you got to pay basically 1 coin per link. If I wanted to get up here, I'd have to pay 2. Or the other option is to pay a carriage token, and if you have a carriage token, then you can move wherever you want all over the entire board. You just pick them up and then move them to where you want to go. So before you take one of these 3 actions, you always have the option, if you need to travel to a town or a city where you want to take the action. So the first action you're going to do is basically collect resources. And for the most part, you have to be where there's a middleman. Now there's 5 different middlemen, and so let me just go over those quickly and what you're going to get out of them. The way that you're going to get the resource out of them is you're going to lay your worker down, and then you're going to move the middleman clockwise to the next matching spot that matches the symbol. So if I would lay this down, I could basically take a scroll or 5 coins. That gold coin is 5. So you've got a silver worth 1 and a gold worth 5. So you lay the guy down, this is going to move, and this one will move over here. You can see the matching spot. So this is going to keep moving around and around the board as people lay down their workers, and then the middleman kind of has to get out of town and go to the next area. Your other option is, let's stand this guy back up. We'll put the middleman back here. you can spend one of these bishop tokens. Remember, you start the game with one of these, and you can take the resource, and you don't have to lay your worker down, and the middleman will stay there. So hopefully you can get to use it on the following turn. The other uses for these bishops is, let's say the middleman wasn't even here, if somebody had come and used it already before you get a chance to, you can pay a bishop and just take the action and get that resource without the middleman being there. So the bishop kind of serves two purposes. You can get a resource out of an empty spot without a middleman, or if the middleman is there, then you can do it without laying down your worker, because once the worker's laid down, then you can't get any more resources with that guy until you stand him up, and I'll explain how to stand him up in a second. The next type of guy here is if you use this guy, so you lay him down, he moves along, you're going to get one of these little soldier tokens here. These are called followers. There's basically three kinds of these. You've got these black ones, which are called assassins, these little sort of clergy people, and then these. So there's a middleman for each of those types, and then you're going to collect these, and I'll explain what all these tokens are going to be used for in a minute. The last kind of middleman here are the bishop and carriage wheel icons. So all of these have a ×2. So normally when you take this action, you can get 2 bishops or 2 carriage tokens. And remember, the bishops allow you to activate spaces without laying your worker down or keeping the middleman there, and the carriage tokens let you travel wherever for basically for free. You can travel wherever you want on the board. So that's the first action you can do, basically collect tokens. The next thing you can do is you can gain a province tile. So let's take a look at that. There's 3 areas, like I said, 1, 2, and then 3 down here on the side where you're going to be able to gain a province tile. Okay, to get the follower token, you've got to move your little worker there, and again you pay money or the carriage token, and you can see there's a town connected to each of these. So we're just going to use this one here in the corner as an example. You can see the matching symbols. And then you're going to have to pay some coins to get your guy in there. So you're going to pay 3 coins in this case. And you're going to take this worker, you're going to lose him forever. He's going to go in there. And it's also got a cost here. So that's what these follower tokens are for. So this one you need this little helmet guy and the little clergyman guy. So you got to pay the amount of coins here. And then you can see these get more expensive as the game goes on. And then you've also got to pay these follower tokens to get in there. And then here you've got the bottom here, the amount of points that you're going to get at the end of the game. There's no scoring during the game, it's all end of game scoring. But again, these get more expensive and they're also worth less points as you move on. After you've paid your tokens and your money, then you're going to be able to sift through these, and then you basically choose one, and then you keep it face up in front of you, and then you can use it later on in the game. I'll just go over a couple of these. These are all unique. They're unique in each of the 3 corners on the board. This one gives you $6. Let's see, this one you can discard a scroll token and get 2 of the follower tokens there of your choice. This one you can discard a follower token and get 2 scroll tokens. This one, if you put it face down, then you can use the carriage and the bishop and so on. There's all these different ones. And the iconography is not too bad. I did definitely, on my second play, pretty much have an idea of what everything meant. The rulebook does come with a nice little cheat sheet on the back, and then also on the inside back cover there. I think I will print out a player aid of the front and back of this, maybe just scan this or photocopy it, and then or maybe somebody in the Geek's already done a nice one. That's one thing I will say, I wish they would have that, because it is a little daunting, and it's just, these are all individual unique things that make sense. It's not too bad, but your first game, you're going to be, after somebody takes a spot here, you're going to be passing the rule book, and okay, it's my turn, I'm going to go there too. So now I'm waiting for him to read through the tiles and figure out what it is. So I'll make some player aids. It's not the end of the world, but that's really the only complaint I have with that respect. But while I'm complaining, I will say that there are not enough of these bishop and carriage tokens for a 4-player game. I haven't seen it be a problem in a 3-player game. I haven't played the 2-player, but but there, we were running out of these and kind of doing IOUs. The rest of the components seem to be plenty, but anyway, that's the only small gripe. So back to these 3 province tiles here. So there's 3 places in the corners. They got different tiles, different points and money configurations. Like the cheap one there is $2, and then it's 5 points to start. Whereas the one down here on the bottom, if we zoom in here, you can see this one's $4, and he started with 10 points. This is kind of your high value one here. And again, these tiles are unique. This one, you can see that the follower tokens you have to pay. You see you've got A, A, and B. Basically, it's a pair of any one and then any one of a different one. So there's a different configuration of followers you have to pay to get your guys from the town into there. The last spot on the board here is Florence here, and you can see this is a larger town. It's not really that much different. It's just a little bit bigger of a town. And then you can take your guy here, you can move him in here. Let's say you pay the coins or carriage to get him in there, and then you can choose which way you want to go. Now it's always going to cost you 2 scroll tokens. These are what the scroll tokens are used for, so to get into here. And then you can choose. Now at the start of the game, remember we drew 3 of these and kept 1. And then we have this little $3 token that we put on there. So if you want to go in here, you put your guy there, and while this token is on there, these are also going to cost you an additional $3. Now this will move over to here on this side, and I'll explain why in just a second. But these tiles here, again, are enhancement bonuses to some of the activities that you can do in the game. So if you have this one, whenever you take an assassin follower, you get another one. So basically you get 2. This one will let you get 2 of the little hands praying. This one, whenever you take any follower, you get $2. This one is whenever you take the action to get a scroll token, because remember there's that token that gives you $5 or a scroll. If you take a scroll, you can pay $1 and take a second scroll. And this one here's a good one. I like these. There's a couple of variations of this one. In the space where you take either 2 bishops or 2 carriages, in this case if you take 2 bishops, then you get a carriage and $2 on top of it as a bonus. So there's a mess of these. You want to kind of get these early, you know, kind of get a little bit of an engine going in that respect and get your gathering abilities up a lot higher. The other option you have here are these tokens here, and these are nobility tokens. And these are a whole variety of end of game bonuses. So you're going to take these are going to stay face down for the whole game, then you're going to reveal them. I'm not going to go into too many of these. These are, you know, there's a ton. Just in a couple examples here. So basically if you have one of each of these tokens, basically any follower and $1, you get 8 points at the end of the game. This one is for each dude that you have in the nobility area, then you get 2 points. This one is for each set of these, you know, having these 2, you can get 2 points, maximum 4 times for 8 points. Different things here. This one is for, you get 2 points for each guy here, etc. Now, these are going to be free, other than the 2 scrolls you got to pay. Except this is going to move over there once we trigger the first Medici event here. So how are we going to trigger the Medici event? Well, if you look here on the track, you can see these little yellow spaces with a little tiny Medici event there. And you can also see these on the Providence tracks on the corner of the board here. So once we have a guy here, and then a third guy goes in there, we're going to trigger an event. So these are kind of all over the board, and this is going to determine when the game ends. So here I've got a pile of all of these. Basically the number of players is going to dictate the length of the game. So in a 4-player game you have 7 of these. In a 3-player game you have 5. And you're not going to have, you know, the same events. What's going to happen when you place a worker in one of these spots here is you're going to take the event, and the first time somebody takes an event, that's when the $3 moves over. Once that happens, it's going to stay. These are going to be worth you know, have to spend $3 for the rest of the game. So it's kind of a shift between, you know, getting your sort of starting bonuses and, you know, and getting those, and so it's going to tax you a little bit. And now you've kind of moved along and you've kind of sort of started to proceed towards the end of the game. So now these are going to cost you a little bit more. So again, when the first one of these is triggered, the $3 is going to move over. Now when one of these is triggered, whoever triggered it, whoever placed the worker there, is going to take this. This is going to give them a point at the end of the game. Then we're going to flip this over. And there's 3 different kinds of events that are going to happen. These ones will let you take a worker that's laying down on the board and take it back into your supply, or you can choose to lay a guy down. There's 2 other kinds here. This one here, this will affect everybody. You basically got to pay 1 follower token, one of these tokens, or $3 into the bank. This one will rotate all of the middlemen. So when that one's pulled, all the middlemen are just going to move to their next, you know, clockwise position on the board. So that might kind of screw up your plans slightly, as far as, like, you know, oh, I was waiting for him to come here so I could grab it, or I was just about to grab it because he moved here last turn or something. So that can play a little bit of havoc there. So those are your 3 main actions. You're going to gather resources, you're going to get the different tokens, you get the followers to go in the different corner spots, you get the scrolls to go in the middle here, and you're going to get money. And then you can also go in there and get the Providence tiles and the City Council or Nobility tiles. Now there's one actually last spot on the board which I forgot, because I honestly have never seen anybody take a spot. So there's this spot here, and there's a couple of these, and they got a little green banner on it. There's no middlemen involved with this. So if your worker's there, then you can lay him down and you get $3 out of the bank, or you can leave him standing, and then it said, you know, again, pay the bishop token there to get the $3. I've never seen anybody take this. I played the game twice now, and it's always better to kind of wait and wait for this guy to come around, and you get $5 for him. Even if you've got to spend $1 to get to him, and then, you know, then you're still going to net 4. So anyway, that space is there, and that's why I forgot it. But maybe it's just there. Maybe there's some strategy with it, but they're there. Okay, last two things real quick. You can roll the die. So you roll the 2 dice here, and this is how you get a new family member out. So you roll a 10, and then you can put one guy out on the 10. That's that region up there, just like you did at the beginning of the game. Now, if you roll a 7, you can put the guy anywhere. So that's kind of nice. So that's how you get new guys on the board, and you want to get guys out here and sort of strategically place them to sort of capture the middlemen as they're moving through, and maybe chain it so you're on this guy once, and then you're on the next one and the next one, and you've got some guys close to, you know, the Providence areas and things. So that's how you get the new guys out. The other thing you can do is you can raise all your family members, all the guys that are laying down, you raise them up and you take $1. So that's the other action there. So how do you get points and win the game? Well, big way of getting points here are these bonus tiles. These are going to give you a variety of points for a variety of things. You're going to get points there. You're going to get points for, remember, putting your guys in these spaces here. The spaces here in the middle, you get 1 point for each guy in the nobility area and 2 points for each guy in the city council area. If you have a guy in all 5 tracks, you've got 2 tracks here and then the 3 Providence tracks around the board. If you have at least 1 guy in each, you get a bonus of 5 points. And then you also get some extra points if you're the majority guy. So let's just, for argument's sake, put a yellow and a red, and then another yellow and a red, and a blue. Let's put a blue in there. So in this case, we've got a tie because yellow and red each have 2 guys. So the ties are broken by basically the guy with the earliest worker in there. So in this case, yellow would get 3 points. So you get 3 points for having the majority in each of the 5 tracks. And you get 1 point per each Medici crest. And the game is going to end when this last Medici crest is pulled. You're going to finish the round, you're going to go around the table, finish out the turn, and then get back to the start player. Then you're going to take 1 more trip around the board. Everybody's going to get kind of a double turn, double action. So you can take 2 actions, try to get that last little tile or get your last little worker in there and get the points out of that. If you choose to pass, like if there's no way you can really score any points or anything, maybe pass, you have to pass both of your actions, then you get just 2 points for passing both actions. And that's it. You get points for tiles, being in here, being in all the different ones, the majorities, the Medici crest, etc. And I think that's pretty much the game. Okay, I hope you enjoyed the overview. I don't know, it's a pretty abstract-y kind of game. I mean, the idea is that the Medici family is in power, and you each are representing a different family or crew of people trying to remove them. So you're kind of traveling around, you know, collecting followers and different tokens and kind of getting a foothold in the different provinces and the different city council and the nobility, and kind of worming your way up there and trying to be the most effective and effectively take over the Medici Empire or whatever it's called. So I really like the game. The theme I really don't give a rip about in this game. It's really neat, it's interesting, it's actually really light. The only thing that really kind of makes it not light, I guess, is all of the different icons on the different tiles and the different special abilities. They're not super complex interactively with the game. I mean, it just makes sense. You get some bonus tokens or get bonuses for having dudes in different places and things like that, but just kind of diving through the icons will really kind of grind the game down. So I think played 2-player, it was under 2 hours, I think, after rules explanation, and then 3-player I played last night, and it was about the same. But once you get the hang of the icons, the thing that was taking so long was the game. You play and get your different tokens and move your dudes, and then you're like, okay, I got to sift through these tiles for about 2 minutes. So you go through and reference them with the rule book. It didn't bother me. I mean, you know, I'm not an impatient person, so I don't really care. And now that I've played it a couple times, the icons are, you know, almost second nature to me. So, you know, I maybe have to check. I was like, okay, does this mean what I think it means? Oh, yes. Okay, so we're good to go. And some additional player aids in that sense would have been nice, but I'll just photocopy them or something. But I really enjoy the game. I really like the flow of it. I like waiting for the timing of the middleman going around the board and trying to, you know, build up a sort of reserve of all the different tokens. And the carriage tokens are really cool because you don't have to really worry about where you're going to be. And you can save some money that way to pay to get in, because you just, you know, you pay the carriage token and you move, you know, 10 spaces across the board. And I like the timing of that, and you really kind of want to be in there early, but you also don't want to be, you know, running on a starvation diet. Like, okay, oh, I got just enough tokens and money to get in here. Okay, boom, now I'm reset. Whereas, you know, the guy that sits there and waits and builds up a nice reserve of tokens, he goes, you know, gets a whole bunch of guys in and gets a lot of points, and you're stuck. You kind of reset your cycle to collect the tokens again. I mean, I think if you like Euros and you kind of like that whole thing of just sort of abstract, sort of strategic maneuvering and jockeying and backstabbing and taking stuff away and you know, kind of passive aggressively screwing people over, then you really like this game, and and I like it. It's interesting. It's just but it's not on the heavy side. I think you look at the board and you look at the different, you know, all the icons. It seems really like it might be a little bit more of a medium weight game, and it is, but it's not super medium heavy. It's more like light to medium. And I really think like this is definitely one I'm going to keep and play for a while. For the it's my favorite game of the year, I think. 2013. I'm trying to think. Yeah, so far I think right now. I mean, I've just played the last few days, so we'll see. I really enjoy this game, and it's one of those kind of lighter Euros that, as people get familiar with it, then I think you're going to be able to really gear and tack your strategies to some of the different bonuses, and really investigate the whole thing of exploiting the different approaches, because there's like, I don't know whether there are 12 or so, probably 12, 15, I don't think 15 of those end game bonus tiles. They give you bonuses for a lot of different things. I mean, you get bonuses for having guys in certain areas on the map at the end of the game. You get bonuses for having like a bunch of Medici crests, you know, the little events that trigger. You gotta watch out for those. I got screwed in my first game where I had kind of set up everything, and they'd been kind of favorable to us. They would, like, you know, make us lay a guy down or move the things around. And so I had sort of depleted. I had a nice stock of stuff, and I kind of depleted everything. And I was like, okay, cool, I'm going to do this on the last turn. And then it was like, okay, you need to pay a token or $3. I was like, no! And then I was able to still do what I was going to do, but then the one guy whose last double action was like, for my second action, I'll do this because I know Joel needs it. And then he took me out of the game. I actually ended up tying, but I lost to a tiebreaker. But it was still fine. It was cool. So you got to be a little bit aware of those and sort of keep that in your plans and stuff. I get there's a variant where you can play without the events on those tokens. You just take the tokens and then move the game along. And other variant, you can put guys out without rolling dice. I don't think I would really like that, because then it would be purely calculable, and you're not going to get screwed. It's not, the screwage is not the end of the world. It's like, oh, I rolled a 12, but I really wanted to roll a 2. Well, you know, you've got 12 guys to play with, so you can kind of get them out. Once you get them out and kind of work them in different areas of the board and kind of, you know, spend your resources and your time sort of taking over, expecting things to come in this way. It's hard to really explain this, but once you get a lot of guys out on the board, then you can kind of be a little bit more adaptive and flexible there. So anyway, if you like Euros and you like sort of the little bit lighter Euros, then I would say go for this. And I like this because it's lighter, but it's not like dumb. You know, I mean, sorry, but it's not a dumb light Euro. It's fun, and you're going to draw different bonus tiles every time, and kind of have to sort of adapt a little bit that way. You know, it's not super strategic. So if somebody, sorry, I'm gonna, so it's a good game, and I really enjoy it. And if you have anybody that likes this kind of thing, to sit down and enjoy it and be social and talk smack to each other as you are getting bonus points, then get it. So anyway, thanks.